My life seems to be going pretty good right now, um, but sometimes I can't help but feeling that it won't last. For me, that's kind of the definition of depression. I feel like that's the best way to describe depression. Sometimes you just feel hopeless, and even when everything is going great and you really couldn't find something to complain about, even if you tried, you're still just waiting for that next pin to drop. I feel like when I keep myself busy, it kind of silences all the shitty thoughts that go on inside my head. Sometimes I just find a bunch of shit to do, and that's mostly creatively. Either making videos or making art, reading, and doing self help type shit, it helps. But with me, it seems like there's no moderation in anything. Even when I was using drugs, I went above and beyond what was necessary to get high. Working on a bunch of creative things at once to quiet your mind has its drawbacks, and those drawbacks are burnout. Since I'm bipolar and I have severe depression, I tend to hyperfixate on certain things in my life and just rely on those certain things like my entire fucking sanity and being as a person depends on it. Even when I inevitably burn out, I completely lose interest in those things I've based my moral and mental posture on. I lose myself. Nothing seems to matter anymore, and I just don't care about living. Those are what I like to call my hyper down mood swings, and those can last from anywhere to a couple weeks to sometimes even a year. One time I was in a hyper down mood swing for an entire year straight. I didn't do anything, I didn't take care of myself, I just used drugs and I slept, and that was it. I got nothing done. I mean, you could kind of think of it as like a total writer's block. I think that most people are familiar with writer's block, a state of being that creative people sometimes find themselves in where they can't think or do anything creative. Like all the sparky spark juice that was in them suddenly vanishes and they're left as a hollow husk of a regular person now. Not creative at all, and they can't bring themselves to create anything. Now imagine that type of writer's block, but surrounding everything in your life. It's not just like you lose motivation to create or do basic things, it's more of a complete lack of a will to live or even be a human anymore. I've suffered with this for as long as I can remember, which was when I was first diagnosed as bipolar when I was a wee little lad at 15 years old. Which I have heard that that's kind of early for bipolar diagnosis, but unfortunate for me, that diagnosis rang true, and I'm here to say I'm still bipolar as a 27-year-old man. I feel that what makes those hyper downs so bad is I start to get really introspective with myself, and I beat myself up over my lack of accomplishments thus far. I start to think of how I'm not worthy of accomplishing my dreams because of this or that, and how I haven't completed my dreams yet, so it's obviously just a pipe dream. It's never gonna happen. And I get so down on myself at times, it can be really hard for me to pull myself out of those down phases. I can say from experience what makes those hyper down mood swings even worse is drinking and using drugs, particularly hard drugs. But even back when I smoked weed, I would go into a down phase and I would just smoke ungodly amounts of weed and just not do anything. I would still get little sparks of creativity, but those were too often just me getting an idea and jotting it down in my notes app just for it to sit there for the next 3 months, only until I felt creative again. But to be honest, I didn't even feel creative today. I don't really even feel creative right now as I was writing this. But I decided that if I wait for myself to feel creative, I'll only end up getting 2 or 3 videos done a year, like how I was at the start of my journey on YouTube. For me, as a bipolar person, cutting drugs and drinking out of my life was a godsend. Plus, all the chemicals mixing with my medications brought nothing but harm to my mental psyche. I often find that when I'm making something every day, whether it's a video or just drawing something, it makes my creative juices flow so much more that I have less writer's block. I still get it from time to time, but it's not as bad and it doesn't last as long. Honestly, I'm still on my journey and I've been on it for a while, and I will continue to be on it for the rest of my days on this planet. Or on another planet, I don't know. Maybe we'll get space travel in the next 10 years and we can go to Mars. But I digress. I'm finding ways for it to be easier on myself, and if you struggle from any mental illness, I would suggest you do the same. Find ways that you know work for you, or at least try out new ways that might work for you. Not all things are going to work for everyone. The process of learning about your mental illness isn't a one-size-fits-all type of ordeal. You live and you make mistakes as you learn, but a big part for me was finding that kind of network set up so that I could eventually rely on those people when shit got bad. You don't want to make the worst mistake you can make. And trust me, I've tried a few times and I'm very glad that my plans didn't go through, because I would have hurt a lot of people and I would have missed a lot. Sometimes I think about if I would have succeeded in my suicide attempt 4 years ago, how different my family's life would be. And that shit makes me really sad, because I almost died, and I'm glad that I didn't. This is kind of the end of the video, and everything I've said in this video is just my experience, and I'm going to continue to make videos like this moving forward because I think that they're healthy for me. It's like making a type of video journal on my road to like mental clarity, and I think it'll help me in the long run. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video, but if you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.